Hi guys, we're ready for another reading of Be Not Far From Me. We are now on day 5. The pill bottles aren't labeled, but I've been to enough parties to know what Oxy looks like. I count out 4 and set them next to the bottle of whiskey I found under the mattress. I chew my way through another granola bar, so starved that I can feel the energy it gives me right away. I find the biggest flask, an Erlenmeyer, a word I learned in 6th grade and liked so much I kept it in my head, and go down to the trickle of water I landed in the day before. It's higher now, with a pushing strength from yesterday rains that threatens to take the flask from my hand if I don't hold on tight. I clean it out as best I can, shoving a leaf down inside and using a stick to scrub it around, little bits of scum floating free in the water as I work. It's as clean as it's going to get, and anything else I do would be procrastination, pure and simple. I set up my operating room in the camper, taking off my shirt and soaking in whiskey to clean part of the floor. Then I slug back a mouthful along with an Oxy. From what I've seen at parties, it'll take about half an hour for it to hit me. So I've just set a timetable for myself. I rest my foot on the clean bit of floor and tear another strip off my shirt. I know there are blood vessels all through my foot, probably some arteries too, but I don't know where or how long I should leave a tourniquet on in the first place. I stick my fingers, already shaky I notice, along different spots of my foot and leg, hoping to find a place where my pulse is stronger. But I'm such a swollen mess, everything feels lumpy, and I think I could find my heartbeat in my big toe if I pinched hard enough. In the end, I pick a spot above my ankle and tie off my shirt tight, ignoring the rush of pain as it sinks into the puff flesh. I straighten up the line of necessities beside me on the floor, the Oxy and whiskey, the Flint, the Erlenmeyer of water, 2 granola bars, and Davy Beats hat. I position the one pillow I could find right where I'm assuming I'll fall over afterward and take a good hard look at my foot. Some more digging had turned up a Sharpie and more baggies than a 2nd grader's mama needs. I drew a line on my foot so I have something to aim for. I want to take off about 1/3 of my foot at an angle. I'll lose 3 toes but should be able to keep everything from the arch back to the heel. The problem is that it's my left foot that's crushed on the outside, and I'm right-handed. I've got to strike fast and strike hard, hopefully hitting in the right place and doing everything in one go, because Oxy or not, I don't know if I'm going to be able to take another chop after the first one. I pick up the Flint, adjust it in my hand so that it feels right, and turn my foot inward. It's awkward as hell, and I've never felt so lonely, but I'm the one that's going to die, and there's no one here to stop that from happening but me. So fuck it, I say to Davy's hat, and I strike. Something rolls across the floor. My first thought is that I missed entirely and dropped the Flint. My second thought is that this camper is sure as hell not set plumb because it's rolled pretty far. Then I see it's my foot that's gotten away from me, all the way down to the door, and the Flint is sticking up out of the linoleum, stone teeth buried deep. Then I start bleeding. It took a second, like my brain had to catch up with what was happening and tell my veins to bleed. But once they get the message, they take it seriously. Blood's everywhere, and I'm trying to ignore how quickly it's spreading. Like it's just me on the floor, and then before I could blink, there's me and half my blood down there too. I don't have time to be scared. I don't get to, because I'm only half done. I grab the whiskey, glass slick against my bloodied fingers, and before I lose my nerve, I upend it over my foot. I thought I knew pain. Thought that after years of getting cut and punched a few times, falling out of trees, and once getting backed over a cousin's Chevy and breaking my collarbone, that I knew what it was to hurt. I didn't know shit. All those pains were familiar things I'd already experienced that I could file away as something I'd lived through. A burn, a bruise, a solid smack in the head that left me dizzy for days one time when a scree went out from under me and I landed on rocks. Even though they hurt, I could put any of those up against something that came before, compared to it, and say, I made it once. I'll make it again. This I don't know. This is everything I have inside of me, singing at a pitch that'll break your eardrum. This is life-changing pain. This is why animals kick. I've seen it often, a rabbit in a hawk's claws, a mouse in a cat's death grip, a dog that got clocked by the driver in front of me, the groundhog that I've shot because he kept coming into my 4-H garden. They all kick. A reaction to the pain, like maybe they're still trying to run because all they want to do is get away from the hurt. I'm kicking too. My good foot going right through a cupboard door and sending all pill bottles everywhere. I kick and it doesn't help. But I keep doing it anyways because it's all I know. I don't even have sounds, just air in my throat that I can't pull in or push out because I've stopped breathing. And when it does come all in a rush, every sound I've kept inside of me since I found Duke with Natalie and my friends left me behind, all of it rushes out. And I swear it could lift the roof right off this thing, but it doesn't. And I'm screaming and I'm kicking and my good foot is scissoring through my own blood and I keep hoping I'll pass out, but I don't. Because I was born with teeth and fingernails and both of those were made for hanging on. Davy Beat told me once to call him if I got lost, so I try it. I call for him again and again, losing volume as I go. His hat a filthy ball in my hands that I've been kneading at in pain. I move on from Davy to my dad, and I even try God and Jesus, but nobody shows. There's nobody here but me. So I've got to sit up and do what needs to be done. I get onto my elbows and I let the wave of black in my vision settle before getting the rest of the way up, leaning forward to see what's left of my foot. Somehow, some way, I got it just right. Everything's cut off clean as a whistle. I take what's left of my shirt and soak it in whiskey and then bandage my foot. It burns again bright and sharp, but I've already been through it and know what to expect. I take a deep breath and lie back for a minute until it passes. Then I undo the tourniquet and watch the bandage soak through with blood. I'm fading fast, so I take another oxy and a swig of whiskey, followed by water. I got into my head that maybe if I drink enough, the alcohol will chase the infection right out of my veins. I doubt that's good medical advice, but I also don't give much of a shit as I crawl through my own blood to the mattress. All I want is to sleep and the comfort of my moldy blanket. A patch of sun is coming through the window onto the mattress. I lay in it, my head fuzzy with the pain, very much still there, but somehow less important than it was a minute before. I don't know if I'm dying or getting better, but I do know that I put Davy Beat's hat back on, so I put my hands on both sides of my head and curl into a ball. There's no kick left in me. I'm a dying animal, alone in the sun. I'm the deer skull I found forever ago beside the trail. I'm so very tired. My limbs are concrete and the mattress water. I feel as if I'm sinking into it. Either that or I'm water and the mattress is solid, because every time I shift, it's like the movement keeps on going, even once my body stops. The bed, the only thing keeping me from becoming pure liquid and dripping right out on the floor. Like water, I search for a low point, slipping down the ridge and into the little stream at the bottom, joining a creek and then a river. I slide past my hometown and maybe see Duke fishing off the bridge. And then I'd go out to the sea, all my pain and everything, until I'm a single drop in the ocean. I'm not okay and I know it, but there's a sense of calm in being high. Like all my troubles are balloons floating just above me, and now that I'm awake enough, I can pull them down one at a time for examination. Doggies. First, there's the pain, a shiny red balloon, full to bursting. The oxy didn't make it go away for sure. I can still feel it hot and bright, but it's not the first thing on my mind. It's someone else's problem. A confidence whisper by a friend that made me feel bad for them, but left behind in a rush when I take off for a run. My pain is something to be remembered later when it occurs to me. Duke is a blue balloon, half deflated, hovering somewhere over my face like a moth that can't decide whether to land in the fire. Now that I'm not worried about dying, not that it won't happen, I'm just not worried about it anymore, I can't stop thinking about him and Natalie. The sound he made that I thought was only for my ears alone. Exposed bone and sliced nerves I can ignore, but even the oxy can't touch how it makes me feel when I remember finding them. It hurts. More than taking off a piece of my own body, even. I wave that balloon away, not able to deal with it yet. My hand keeps going, all coordination lost, and bounces off the side of the camper to fall back across my face. Davy's hat is scratchy against my wrist and soaked with sweat. I pull it off but keep it nearby, convinced that I can smell a bit of him in it. There's a white balloon up there too, one with a string so long I didn't notice it until I moved. It's up against the roof, so high above me I can't imagine what problem I've got that it could be so far from me and still cause issues. Then I realize it's my mama. She wrote me a letter once. Dad kept it for a few weeks, debating about whether to give it to me. It wasn't him that made the decision, but a raccoon that had snuck into the trailer and trashed the place, leaving bits of dinner, his own shit, and pieces of our mail everywhere. I found the letter from Mom in the kitchen sink next to a chewed hunk of Colby cheese he drug out of the trash and a half-full can of beer. I don't know if Dad drank that or the coon did. Mama told me in her letter that she wished she could say that leaving me was the hardest thing she'd ever done, but it wasn't. She said it was an easy decision because I didn't need her. Dad did, she said, maybe too much. And leaving him wasn't that hard of a call because you get tired of picking up a grown man's socks. But whenever she tried to brush my hair for me, I just yelped and told her to leave me alone. She said she always wanted a girl, but what she got was me. I didn't know what to make of that, so I folded it up and kept it under my pillow for a while, looking at her writing to see if there were any of her whirls and loops in mine, but there wasn't. My letters were all hard angles and dark slashes like Dad's, and who cares if there's socks on the floor anyway? Maybe I didn't need her brushing my hair, but I guess I could have used a word of advice a time or two, like the first few times I got into fights with Duke, or even when things were going really well. Maybe even more then, come to think of it. She thought I didn't need her, but I needed something more than just Duke's mom reminding him to wear a condom. At least I had that, though. She didn't want him to get straddled with kids before 20, but it would have been my ass too, and maybe she didn't want to see me living somewhere with a nice enough basement, but a man who came home and made everything quieter than church. Not that Duke couldn't act like that, but he would take another girl into the woods, which is a whole different kind of problem. And maybe if I'd had a mom I could go home and talk to about it, I would have done exactly that instead of punching him in the face and running to the woods drunk, ending up with half a foot and high in oxy in an old meth lab, wearing a dead boy's hat and wrapped in a moldy blanket. And the worst part is, I consider this an improvement. That's it. Till next time.